Priyanka, and I'm delighted to introduce today's speaker, Ms. Janetha Reddy Garu, who is an immigration attorney and the founder of the law offices of Janetha R. Kancharla, located in Virginia. With 16 years of experience, she is licensed to practice in New York and is a member of the New York State Bar Association and the American Immigration Lawyers Association. Just before we begin, I would like to give a little disclaimer. The information shared during this call is for informational purposes only and does not establish an attorney-client relationship. For personalized legal advice, please consult a licensed immigration attorney and avoid sharing personal or confidential information. Before handing over to Ms. Janetha Garu, I request you all to please be mindful and ask relevant questions and which you wanted to get it addressed today within the given time. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyanka. Good afternoon, everyone. Appreciate and thanks to Global Telangana Association for giving us our office and opportunity for hosting this webinar, and appreciate everybody to keep their questions just related to this proclamation, so that way we can clear the confusion that we have right now. Today's topic especially is about the proclamation which was issued by the US president restricting the entry into the United States of certain H1-B aliens. So, which requires 100K payment, to accompany or supplement the H1-B petitions. And, where they are saying that, they want to use it as a curb to abuse the, displacement of the US workers and undermining the national security. So specifically what I'll do is, I'll just go quickly through the summary of the proclamation that was issued yesterday evening. Proclamation was issued yesterday, 9/19/2025, which will be effective from 9/21, which is tomorrow, 12 a.m. EST. The validity of the proclamation is for 12 months. And provided, they also said that this will be extended within 30 days of the next H1B lottery, which will be March 2026, based on recommendations by the Attorney General, based on their inputs, and also the Labor Secretary and the DHS Secretary. The proclamation is about restricting entering anyone who is seeking that entry into the United States without payment of the 100K fee. The proclamation specially targets the H1B workers who are currently outside the United States, because by language and whatever was mentioned exactly in the proclamation, we'll stick to that language when we are going through these important points. So the proclamation specifically targets who are outside the United States. It doesn't appear to impact the H1B workers who are already in the United States at all. And then one of the point also says that USCIS, should not adjudicate unless the H1B petitions that are filed without a payment of proof of 100K who are currently outside the United States. And the extensions of stays inside the United States, including, change of employer, change of status, and, amendments will not be impacted at all, especially through this proclamation. And the Secretary of State shall also, they also said that, they will issue a guidance where people will not misuse. Like, let's say, for example, if a person is on B visa, outside the United States, where they will circumvent and then enter on B to avoid the fees, and then go ahead and then do a change of status within the country. So I think the Secretary of State also will issue some kind of memo on this in a couple of days. And there are exemptions to this, where they said the individuals, or if the industry is determined, the DHS determines if they are of welfare or important or in the national interest, those will be exempted. And we are specifically advising our clients right now, to come into the United States, those who are abroad. And we are also advising people who are inside the United States, should refrain from all international travel until implementation is further clarified. So, whether this will be applicable only for the new cases or, for everybody. So there is a lot of clarification that is actually needed, based on the news that are being circulated in the media, where they are saying this is only applicable to new H1Bs, not for the people, those who are already having a H1B stamping. So because that's not what the language or specifically the proclamation says. So we need more clarification on that. But as for the proclamation, yes, I mean, people those who are outside the country will be affected. And also in addition to the proclamation, Department of Labor also announced yesterday, they are launching a project called Firewall, which enforces H1B visa laws to protect American workers by investigating and penalizing the employer violations, ensuring qualified Americans are prioritized for the jobs, and promoting, lawful employment practices through federal agency collaborations. Well, which technically means that we may see the wage and hour division, and then more investigations from the Department of Labor as well. Maybe lawsuits for the back wages and things like that. So appreciate it, and then I think now Priyanka, we can go ahead and take questions, because a lot of people have questions around the confusion that is going on. And I strictly ask people to have questions only related to this proclamation, please.
Sure. I'll start with my questions. Again, I request you all to be please be mindful and ask the relevant questions within the given time. We will try to answer as many as possible, but I request you all to be please mindful. So I'll start with my first question. I'm a H1B currently in US. I need to travel on emergency basis. What are the repercussions?
For now, I would say until further clarification, I mean, maybe if you are planning to go around in October or whatever the time frame, now, I mean, you don't have to cancel, but, just hold on to it. Maybe until there is further clarification, I guess maybe in the next coming weeks, maybe within the next week, we can even see, a lawsuit that is going on, coming up, challenging this proclamation.
Okay.
But I definitely recommend not to travel at all right now until the further clarification is initiated.
Okay, moving on to the next question. I believe this has been already answered, but I'll just go to the question. Will it impact people who got H1B this year?
If they are inside the country, if there is already a change of status that happened, your H1B will be triggering from October 1st. So I don't think so that will impact you. But, if you are outside the country, yes, it might impact, as per the language that we have in the proclamation. So this is, I'm seeing a lot of, media news channels in India, and they are also quoting, somebody in the Trump administration, gave a clarification stating that this is only applicable for the new H1Bs, which are about to start in March of 2026. But that's not what the proclamation language says. So we'll strictly stick to only the proclamation language right now. And my understanding is that when you interpret as is, yes, those who are outside the country, yes, it would impact.
Okay. How does this affect someone who is laid off and is looking for a job? H1B got picked through consultancy.
If it got picked, I think you already have approval of the H1B, which starts from October 1st. So technically, if you don't have the project, then you have the 60-day grace period, either to move on to a different status within the country or move on to a different employer. So you have to figure that one out. But I think this proclamation will not really affect you in any way, as long as you are inside the United States.
Okay. Again, I think this topic is already discussed, but I'll just go to the question. Will it impact who are on valid H1B visa and are outside US?
Yeah, I mean, this is still, as per the proclamation, yes, it will impact, though you have a visa, if you are coming, on September 21st into the country, though you have a visa. But this particular, thing should be clarified further. Maybe we'll hear more on this in the next week or coming days, because as I said, the confusion is they are saying this is strictly applicable only to the new H1Bs. but they did not specify whether, the people who does have a H1B visa, just, visiting or vacationing or, or in their home country, this is not applicable to them. So the proclamation doesn't say that. So as of now, as to the proclamation language, yes, those who are outside the United States, it will affect them. Those who are entering after September 21st.
Okay. I'll move on to the next question. Will this impact the dependents, especially who are on H4s?
Not really, H4s have nothing to do with this. So H4s are not impacted at all. So this is strictly to the H1Bs.
Okay. Will there be any lawsuit filed for this thing?
Most likely within the next week.
Okay.
Because I think lawyers are working towards it, to get a temporary restraining order based on the proclamation.
Sure. So moving on to the other one, Divya, your question is not clear, but I'll just read what I understood. I have interview in November, so can I travel and re-enter after the extension?
I would say, just keep your appointment for now, and then, as your, dates are in November, like, your interview date and all, by then, a lot of questions, the dust will settle down, and then, you will have a much more clarity on that. But for now, I would say keep your plans on, but don't leave.
Sure. So I'm in US and I have an extension in next 6 months. Will it impact if we go for extension process now?
No, the proclamation that was issued yesterday, the language clearly says those who are inside the country on H1B, if they are going for H1B extensions, H1B amendments, or, change of status, these will not be impacted.
Okay. Will this impact currently pending H1B renewals? Renewal just filed a week back.
If it is within the United States, no.
Okay. I recently got a HHS waived approval for a J1 waiver and J1 waiver H1B petition, which was approved recently. I have my first H1B interview on September 25. I am a physician. Any impact?
Yeah, if you had to go outside the country for the interview, yes, it will impact. But if you are inside the country and then change of status happened, your H1B will trigger starting October 1st, so you should not worry about it.
Okay, the next question. I'm on H1B with approval I-140. I have my renewal coming up next year. Will I have to go through 100K payments by my employer?
As of the proclamation, what we have yesterday, not really. As long as you are doing, the extensions, amendments, as I said, change of statuses within the country, that will not impact at all.
Okay. If we are on L1B and company wants to shift to H1B visa next year lottery, will this yearly fees applicable to L1B to H1B also? And also for H1B stamping, do we need to travel to India?
Yeah, any new H1Bs, whether you are coming from, L1B, L1A to H1B, or from H4 to H1, any status to the new H1B. But again, as I just gave the point, the Attorney General, Department of Homeland Security Secretary, and Labor Department Secretary will provide those kind of inputs to the President, whether they want to, if they want to extend it, within the 30 days of the lottery. So we just have to wait and see how it goes. But yes, as for now, how we interpret, yes, it will affect.
Okay. I have got H1 visa stamping valid till 2027 and lived and worked in US for 6 months. Now I came back to India. Can I travel to US after a year without new petition or visa stamping or paying 100K?
You will still be cap exempt, but however, if you have to come back, through your employer, if you are outside the United States, I guess it is applicable to you when we are reading the plain language in the proclamation, unless and until there are changes that are made. Because if they come back and say, strictly, hey, the proclamation, we forgot to include, or it's a typo where it's only applicable for the new H1Bs, from starting from March 2026, and not those who already have visas or those who just went out for vacation or, emergency situations, they don't have to, because we don't have, as I said, we don't have a clarity on that one. But, my understanding is that as we interpret the language as is, yes, those who are all outside the United States will be impacted by this if they are not entering into the country by September 21st.
Okay. Moving on to the next one. I am on A1 employer. Next month, I'm going visa transfer with A2 employer. Can I travel to India and come back after transfer visa to A2?
That's what we are trying to say. As long, till more clarification is issued. So hold on to your plans of traveling. So you can always, be inside the country and then move from employer A to employer B and all. But hold on to your travel plans till further clarification is issued, or a temporary restraining order by the court. So most likely we'll have a clear cut information, or a clarity on where this proclamation stands in the courts.
Okay. Does H1 visa holders are affected, and can a H1 visa travel holder travel outside of the country during this time?
I think H4s can, definitely travel in and out of the country. So this is not going to affect them at all.
Okay. I'm currently in India in the process of H1 extension through consular process. I have been on H1 for 6 years now. Does this new proclamation impact my travel?
Yeah, as we read the proclamation as is, yes, unless and until, there is further more clarification that they give us, it's only for the new H1Bs.
If a person have visa stamp until 2028 April, will not fall under this category. Is it right?
If you have already a visa, if you are within the United States, you don't have to worry about it. Once the dust is cleared, if you are good to travel, you will be able to, go in and out of the country. But however, if you are outside, so, for now, the language clearly says, the people who are outside the country will be impacted by this rule.
Okay, I think this question is already answered, but I'll just go through it. I'm yet to apply for renewal right now in US. What's the impact for me due to this change?
For the H1B extensions, change of status and then amendments, it will not impact at all inside the States.
Okay. If the H1 visa is stamped with future dates, will there be any problem with outside country?
Outside the country, of course, most of the H1B start time is in October 1st. So if you are outside, though you got stamped, possibility is there that, you might be impacted by this because, though they issued the proclamation, the point here is, they did not, spell out or clear clarification on how this amount is paid to whom, and at what time frame, how it will be collected, because usually collected by the USCIS, and then receipt should be showed to the Department of State in order to issue a visa, and then the same receipt can be showed once you are entering into the country. But how the amount will be collected, there are no instructions, unless and until maybe by tomorrow evening we might be able to hear if people are trying to enter into, if they allow or not, what are they asking, what kind of instructions they have, the CBP officials will have, are already having internally. So we don't know about that, but yes, if you are outside, it might impact.
Okay, moving on to the next one. What happens to H1B holders currently waiting for green card and need renewals?
Waiting for green cards, if you are trying to do a H1B renewal within the country, you should not be impacted in any way.
Okay, what is the status of H1 candidates whose documentation done for this year and yet to get their H1?
We are seeing, only approvals on the premium process, but not on the regular process. So, we just have to wait and see how it will be handled. Given the scenario, a lot of FDNS verifications are happening. They are reaching to the end clients, asking them, hey, what are the requirements for this position? Because, if the wage levels are not really matching with the requirements, they are when I say they are, the USCIS is going ahead and then issuing notice of intent to revoke, giving a 33 days time frame to the employer to respond back why there is a discrepancy, why the wage level is not as per the requirements. There are a lot of things that are going on, but however, if a person is in the United States, if their H1B starts from October 1st, I think they should not be, worrying about it for now.
Okay. Does a new EC apply for new GC candidates who are currently in India?
Sorry, repeat the question, Priyanka. I'm sorry about that.
Will this affect any GC candidates who are currently in India? New GC candidates.
GC candidates, maybe I'm guessing, this is a family-based immigration because, outside the United States, no, especially for the GC candidates, if it is a employment-based or family-based, that's not the proclamation is targeting. They are, purely targeting the H1Bs right now.
Okay. I'm on H1B non-profit. If I file for H1B profit, am I subjected to exemption from 100K fees? I have been in US for 7 years now.
I think if you are doing it within the United States, I guess it should be okay. But as I said, the language should be, cleared. We will know more in coming days about this specific scenario, whether moving from non-profit to for-profit, whether you are exempted or subject to this 100K fee.
Okay. Will a person with new H1B who has never traveled to US, visa stamped, who is in India, will be impacted?
As per the proclamation language, yes.
Okay. Will this be challenged in court is what we need to know?
Yes, in the coming days, most likely you will see in the next, by mid of the week, lawsuits going on, especially challenging the proclamation. Like previously, a lot of proclamations or executive orders were challenged previously. So similar way, the attorneys are preparing to challenge the administration on this.
Okay. Can I travel if I have L1A visa?
Yeah, L1A you should be able to because this proclamation never talked about the L1s. It's only targeting the H1Bs.
Okay. Do you think this will be applicable only for new H1Bs for first 6 years of H1B and not for folks whose I-140 is approved?
Yeah, as per the language, yes, they say it's for new, but those who are already inside the country having I-140 approvals, extending your extensions beyond those 6 years of time frame, I think you should be good when you are still inside the United States.
Just a second, sorry. If L1 already stamped and never traveled to USA, is that person impacted? I think this has been already answered. Would it impact a person having I-140 and looking for the extension?
Not really if you are doing the extension within the country.
Will the F1 students be impacted by this proclamation?
Possibility, if they go ahead and then clarifies stating that, this is for only the new H1Bs, coming up in March 2026. And then, if it is from outside, we don't know how it is going to work out. But, if people are on F1s who are already working, putting their H1B lottery for the coming up season. And then, if they are within the country, if they are not leaving, maybe they might not get affected, but we still have to see, whether they are saying it is for new, whether that new H1B is within the country or only people who are coming from outside, with the H1B visa stamping. So more to be clarified on those lines, and we will know more in coming days on that.
Okay. Does this apply to non-cap H1B as well, like medical professionals on H1B? Can we travel out of country now and re-enter in 2 weeks?
It doesn't say any cap or non-cap in a non-profit or for profit. It just says H1B. So I'm assuming this is equally applied to everybody.
Okay, I'm skipping a few questions. This is a request to everyone. I know a lot of questions these are answered, but again, there are a lot of questions you people are asking. So I'm skipping a few questions. Don't mind me doing that, but yeah, I'm just quickly trying to go through all the questions. So the next question is, this might be a question already asked above. I have my H1 797 approved till February 2026 with current employer. If I move to a new employer as part of H1 transfer, will my new employer has to pay this 100K?
Answer is no to that.
Okay. For H1 holder who is in India and plan to travel back on Monday 9/22, does DHS or CBP allow or decline entry?
We have to wait and see because, as I just mentioned, earlier in the call, we don't know what kind of instructions were given to the CBP by the DHS. How whether they are going to allow them or decline them on basis of what. How they must show this 100K payment. In receipts, we don't know about that, and this proclamation never clarified on that, and then nobody has any information how it takes. We only will know after few people based on their first hand experience enter into the country. So if they deny, possibility is there that they are subjected to this 100K. If they are allowed, then this we can interpret it as only for the new H1Bs for the coming up season.
Okay. I've got a visa approved last year, but I haven't got stamping yet. If I go for stamping next year, will it affect anything?
I would say maybe based on the current scenario right now, what we have, because it's the proclamation is just a day older. So, as I said, lot of clarification is needed on those lines. So hopefully not in future for you, but let's wait and see on that.
Okay. My friend has H1B visa and planning to come to USA starting tomorrow. He will reach by 22nd September. Is he safe to travel in this situation?
Yeah, as I just mentioned, unless and until they try to enter, and then, what kind of questions that they will be facing at the CBP. So we will only know through their personal experiences because, after the proclamation was issued, nobody, was clarified on how this payment must be made. They just said this 100K must be paid, but, to whom, how, where, these things needs to be clarified.
Okay. If I move back to India and after a certain period wanted to come back with new employer, am I impacted?
If you are moving back and coming with a new employer, I guess you might be based on the current language.
H1B transfer petition pending and staying in USA. Any impact?
No.
I'm on F1 and will be filing H1B next year. Been in USA for last 3 years. How will it impact any chances of getting new H1?
Yeah, for the new H1Bs, as I said, we just have to wait and see. But as long as you are within the country and then, changing your status from F to H, I guess, from the straight language of the proclamation, you should not be impacted. But, by then, March 2026 is, a bit further. So, we will know by then whether, this proclamation even withstands the court in the federal law.
Okay. This is my 7th year H1B transfer approved recently. If I do amendment for other state based on new project, will it impact? If yes, how it
No,
will be?
no, it will not impact.
Okay. I had H1B earlier, right now on J2 and inside country, planning to file cap exempt. Will it impact my case?
Yeah, if you are within the country, trying to file a camp exempt, which will be a change of status, so you should not be impacted by the proclamation.
Okay. Will there be any impact to the OPTs or it's just for the H1s?
This proclamation is strictly for the H1Bs and mainly it's targeting those who are currently outside the United States.
I'm on L2 visa inside US, planning for H1 in 2026. Will this impact? And will the employer has to pay 100K application fee?
If you are doing a change of status within the country, I guess it will not. But again, as I said, more clarification is needed whether they would go ahead and say this is for, new H1Bs, starting from March 2026. And I also said that, this proclamation clearly states that, within the lottery, within the 30 days of the lottery, the president want the input from, the Secretary of DHS, DOL, and the Attorney General, how this works based on that, whether they want to extend. So it all depends upon that. But however, if you are doing a change of status, which will be from F to H, it should not impact.
Okay. Will it impact someone already got selected in lottery and interview got RFE in India and they're in home country currently?
Yeah, if they are in home country, possibility is there, yes.
Does this proclamation legally allow DHS to enforce such a high fee immediately, or could it be challenged in court?
It will be challenged in court, and then because there are a lot of details that are missing in the proclamation, like how the fee will be collected, through who, and how employer will be paying, all those things, those details need to be chalked out. So no further clarification on that, at least to the attorneys and to the employers. Maybe we don't know what the internal circulation or internal information, from DHS to their CBP and all of these things, maybe Department of State. So we still have to wait further on this one.
Okay. I haven't got my H1B picked in the last two picks. I came here to do masters and started working full time. Will it impact people like us who are yet to file their H1B visa present in the US?
If you are inside the United States, trying to do a change of status, I guess it should not impact.
Okay. My husband is out of the country, recently got the visa stamped and approved for the extension, that is before 21st. He's planning to return on 25th. Will it impact? He has his I-140 approved with EB2. If the petition is already filed and visa is stamped, why it is going to impact their entry? Are there any exemptions?
Yeah, based on whatever the clear language that the proclamation says, I would say yes, unless and until there are different set of instructions to the CBP where they say that, this is only applicable to the new H1Bs, not those who are already stamped, inside the country for several years. So, we don't know. That clarity is missing in the proclamation.
Okay, I'm just skipping a few questions as they are already asked. Impact on H4 EAD working people and traveling outside.
This proclamation is not targeting, H4s or their EADs, and they travel. So I guess they should be safe to travel in and out of the country.
Will there be any impact to the H1 extension that is currently in process, LCA approved?
For the extensions inside the country, no, should not be.
Will it impact L1B visa as well?
No, proclamation is not for L1A, L1B, H4s. This is strictly to H1B.
How does this affect if we have an ongoing H1B petition and we haven't received an approval yet?
If you are inside the country, though you don't have an approval notice, just based on the receipt notice, one should be able to continue working. Maybe if you are, anxious about it, or, you are, feeling that uncertainty, maybe, upgrade to the premium process.
Oh, I'm in India and I have visa interview on Monday. Are there any, should I expect a 21G or refusal?
It all depends upon the instructions, but definitely, for the new H1Bs, you are obligated, this fee under the, as you are going for stamping on Monday. So you will know further, what they will say, whether they will be asking for this 100K payment receipt, or whether they will say that this is only for the upcoming season, which will be from March 2026 for the new lottery season. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe you should update us on that, how it goes.
Okay. I have valid H1B and stamped and valid till 2027 September. I have travel plans for October for medical. Do I need to postpone my travel plan?
For now, I would say yes. When you asked about postponement, maybe, just keep your tickets for the same dates and all. I think by then you will have, a certain clarity, who are covered, who are not covered. So based on that, you can make a travel. But I would say strictly, avoid traveling when there is uncertainty, when there is no proper outcome, when, the lawsuits are being filed, if there is no temporary restraining order, there is no certain outcome on this one. So hold on to your, travels.
Okay. You're transferring from company A to B and within the US, is it applicable?
It's not applicable.
Does this affect even I-140 approved also, and also lost the job? And if I move to a new client, do we have to pay 100K?
If it is within the country, no.
Wife just landed in India. She traveled just before the proclamation. Do you suggest her to travel back immediately?
Not really. I'm guessing, if she traveled on H4, so I think she should be good to re-enter into the country, because you are inside the country and, maintaining a valid immigration status. So H4s are not targeted through this proclamation.
Okay. I have an existing petition and visa. I'm in India, came for stamping. I'm yet to pick up the visa, which I will do tomorrow around 21st, 1 p.m. Eastern. Can I enter USA now without the 100K?
I think you should try entering and then see, what they will say at the port of entry. But I would say don't do the port of entry in Abu Dhabi. Instead of that, directly do on the US land.
Okay. If the kids were moved from H4 to F1, will this be impacted?
H4 to F1?
F1 student, yeah.
No. H4s, F1s are not part of this proclamation. Strictly, this is for the H1Bs.
Okay. Currently in US, H1B visa is expired but have I-797 approval. Will re-entering the country after stamping causes any issues with the proclamation?
If you are already inside the country, so I would say I would advise not to travel unless and until there is further clarification on you know who are subjected to this 100K.
Okay. So for the OPT students, will if they have to file a new H1, will they have to pay 100K fee?
If they looks like the proclamation states those who are outside the country, but as I said, further clarification is really needed. I mean, who are subjected, who are exempted. So, if as per the language what we have right now, if you are changing your status from F to H by staying within the country, the answer is no. But if you are outside the country, yes, as per the proclamation.
Okay. I lost my job recently and I switched it to B2 temporarily. When I switch back to H1B, will it affect
No,
anyway?
no. If it is within the country, no.
We are on H1B, we are currently on renewal, and the main thing is we are in the house contract. So do we need to take step?
I'm not really sure on that. So I mean, contracts is something different than the immigration. So I would say, consult the contracts lawyer on that one. How to navigate through that. But yes, as per the immigration, as long as you are within the country and maintaining your status, you should not be worried about this 100K fee subjection.
Okay. In USA on H4 visa and I have my approved H1, can I still transfer to H1 from H4 without paying 100K?
Yeah, if you are within the country, yes.
Okay. I got H1 approved and currently on H4. Will it impact any changes to I think this is already answered. I have my interview scheduled for October 10th and my travel date is September 26th, next Friday. Based on the situation that a lawsuit will be filed and if it gets a temporary halt, can I still travel?
Yeah, if the TRO issued a temporary restraining order on this proclamation, I think you should be good to travel. I would say, keep a close eye on, how things are unfolding, starting Monday. So, and then, stick to your original date of travel, and then you will know more, probably by mid of next week.
Okay. I have got H1 visa stamping valid till 2027 and lived and worked in USA for 6 months. Now I came back to India. Can I travel to USA after a year without new petition or visa stamping? Do I need to apply visa again?
If you are already having a active stamping in your passport, I think you can use that one. Though you change the employer, you should be able to use that stamping to enter into the country. But again, this proclamation without the clear language, it still states that those who are outside the country. So we still need the clarification with whether it is the current H1Bs, those who are outside the country having this H1B visa for such a long time, 7 years, 8 years, 6 years, or this is only for the new H1Bs, those who are set to enter starting this October, or maybe for the future, starting for the new, lottery category.
Okay. I got laid off and completed grace period. Now I got new job offer. While converting from H4 to H1B, will this new policy applicable for me as I was in US only?
If you are within the country, no.
Okay. My sister got H1B stamping 2 weeks back. Can she travel now?
I would advise, traveling because, as I said, unless and until people travel, nobody knows, as I said, there are no clear instructions on how to collect this fee or, showing that receipt, where the employer should pay. So maybe, we'll know more about what kind of internal instructions the CBP had based on that. But yeah, I mean, if you are planning to take risk, yeah, try to enter and then see. But however, I don't advise those who are inside the United States, please stay put, don't leave the country for now.
If we have a H1B petition approved for 3 years, but the visa expiration is in the December, what will happen for a travel to India? What is your advice?
I wouldn't advise traveling to India at all right now till we have a further clarification. Though a temporary restraining order is issued, you don't know what the government is going to do. Till there is a final decision on this, it's always a good idea not to travel.
Okay. I'm currently on STEM OPT, but I have my H1B approval notice in consular process. Will the new execution order impact my H1B when I am have to move to H1B?
If you are planning to move to H1B within the country, I think you don't have to worry. You will be exempt from this fees.
I've been in USA for last 12 years on H1B now. If I'm visiting India for a visa stamping, will I have to pay 100K?
As per the proclamation language that we have right now, I would say yes.
Okay.
Until there is a further clarification on that language.
Travel to India just before the proclamation. She's on H1 and her it is a valid stamping. Do you suggest her to travel back immediately?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I would say, if she can travel back as soon as possible, if the CBP allows it, that will be good.
Okay. Currently in India, appointment on September 22nd. Visa appointment is on September 22nd. Will it impact happen anything during the interview?
I mean, unless and until you attend, you will not know. As I said, the language doesn't really, clarify all those things. So I would say, yeah, go ahead and attend to see, what happens.
Okay. Currently on F1 visa, so there is only chance. Okay. Currently on F1 visa with STEM OPT, there is only one chance to apply for the H1B visa for the next physical year. Will this affect my application? Does employer need to pay 100K?
For now, if you are doing within the country, I guess not. But until there is a further clarification on how they will do, as I said, if it is for the upcoming season for the new H1Bs. But however, the proclamation strictly targets those who are outside the country. They are not saying anything, those who are actually inside the United States. So, students, those who are on their OPTs or STEM OPTs or people who are on H4 or L1, L2, J1, J2 who are trying to transfer their status to H1B within the country, I think those they should not get affected technically. As per the language strictly to the proclamation what we have right now.
Okay. I'm on H1B with I-140 approved. I'm shifting to a new job, completed the interview process. Will this be considered as new H1B?
No, not really. Because you are exempt because you already have the I-140 approval in place. So you are exhausted your 6 years, and this H1B is beyond the 6 year time frame.
Okay. My sister just landed in India for a 2 weeks vacation. If she's on H1B, will it be a problem coming back?
Possibility. So, the proclamation clearly targets those who are outside. So, we'll have to still wait and see. We'll get more clarification, more dust will be cleared by end of next week, I would say.
Okay. My friend recently applied H1B extension. He's on receipt number. How will it be affected?
Extension will not get affected in any way.
Will changing the status from F1 to H1B have the repercussions?
Not really if you are doing that within the country.
Okay. How does this proclamation impact the closed loop cruise trip for those who has H1B valid visa stamp?
I would not really recommend doing any travel outside right now.
Already in country with L1, getting H1B filed this year, any impact?
For the change of status, no, not really.
Okay. I'm currently I petitioned for B2COS to buy extra time for H1B job search. How does this new proclamation impact me in future employment if I found a position from India?
Uh, Position from India?
Yeah.
Oh, see, you said you already are in the country and applied for the, B2, technically, which means that you are inside the country. So maybe if you are planning to leave and come back, yes, if you go outside, that will affect. If you are still inside the country based on the B2 extension that you applied and doing a job search, and eventually if you want to come back onto the H1B, that should not impact if you are within the country.
Okay. Will this impact anyone who has traveled to India for the visa interview and this have a stamped visa with I-140 approved? Can he come back to USA without any impact?
Yeah, that's what we are trying to say all along. There is no clarity on that because the proclamation strictly says, the language says those who are outside. So if they have to further clarify that, maybe they have to say new H1Bs for the upcoming season, or it should not affect those who are already having stamping. So we are yet to receive that clarification.
Okay. Any exemptions for healthcare or education industry?
There are exemptions, if it is in the national interest. So it is it will be weighed in on case by case basis, I would say. So if it is in the national interest, definitely that will be exempted.
Okay. I'm yet to receive my I-140 approval and then would need to apply for my H1B renewal before the end of this year. Would I have any impact as long as I stay in the country?
No impact as long as you are doing that by staying within the country.
Will there be any impact on business travels with valid H1B visa?
For now, I would say, I mean, keep your plans, but don't travel until unless, there is a further clarification on, how they will be treating those who already have visas and, just traveling for vacation purposes or traveling for emergency purposes. So we have to still receive that kind of clarification. But if we are, reading the proclamation language as is, yeah, definitely I don't recommend traveling outside the country for now.
Okay. Does this proclamation anyway impact to already approved AOS EAD holders maintaining active H1B? Can they still travel?
No, it will not impact. But however, when you travel, then you will be entering into the country based on your advance parole, and that should be still allowed after coming into the United States. You will again, get back to your H1B.
Okay.
But still
We have
stay
to
put,
apply for the
not to travel. Right now, still further, dust is cleared on this proclamation.
sure. We have to apply for renewal and waiting for labor certificate. Will it impact?
No.
Okay. If my H4 dependent travels to India, will they are subject to proclamation? I think this has been already answered. Last year, I had my H1B stamping done and is valid till 2026 September. Came back US and did change my employer. My current employer is different compared to what I had on visa. Will this affect if I travel now?
I would say don't travel right now as long as you are within the country. So, as we still need more clarification. So, unless and until the clarification is issued, those who are already having a stamping are not, subjected to this, 100K, then you can travel. But for now, don't travel.
Okay. Is there any impact to TN visa?
No.
Okay. I-140 is with the previous company and renewal is due on August 2026. Current employer yet to start perm process. In this case, will I get affected while extending my visa in August 2026?
Not as long as you are within the country.
Already in USA with L1B and already filed for H1B this year as well. How will the change of status be done and how does this new change impact?
If the change of status is being done when a person is within the United States, so they will be applying for the exempt category. So as long as you are within the country, that should not really affect.
Sorry. Will there be any impact to the amendments who are currently in the US?
No, no impact for extensions, no impact for change of status, no impact for amendments.
So for F1 students, they're on F1 and have been filing for H1s for the last 2 years, and they have exemption for next year as well. Will there be any impact for them?
As long as you do it within the country, I don't think so. You will be falling under that 100K payment. But yes, if you go outside the country, possibility is there. But as I said, this is too early to interpret all of these things. So we will know more about in the coming weeks, and more clarity will be there. Whether this proclamation will really stand in the court. So we have to wait and see on that.
Okay. Will this impact the perm application, which is yet to file in next 6 months?
Not really, no.
If we have visa stamping, can we visit India and come back? We were in air when proclamation was signed, and even if I take a flight and come back, I will not be able to reach by 21. Do you still suggest to travel back?
I mean, it depends, what you really want, but if you are in the air, if you are not able to come back, you already left the US soil. So, the proclamation is effective from 21st. So, unless and until there is further clarification on, who are being, it technically says that who are outside. It doesn't give any clarification that, those who are previously having, H1B stampings are exempted and all of those things. If further clarification is issued stating that those who are already having the visas in their passports are exempted, then you might fall under that. But if we are reading as is right now, if you are outside, yes, this proclamation is will have an effect on that.
Does the proclamation legally allow DHS to enforce such a high fee immediately, or could it be challenged in court?
Yes, that's why the proclamation is being issued. But again, we don't have any details on how they will be collecting when the 100K fee, because 100K fee is, I mean, a very high price, even, for bigger companies. So we had to wait and see. Definitely, this is being challenged, pretty soon.
Okay. Can the current H1B employees still work from in India and get paid from US, or will there be any impact?
As long as you have the I-94 when you left the United States, it should be okay. But these days we are seeing a lot of secondary inspections and then even entry denials into the country if a person is staying outside the country for more than 30 days. Because they are also, officers are very keen on looking into the pay stubs as well, how those pay stubs were run, if they are on vacation or if they are working from there, they are paying that close attention. So, if an H1B person can always work outside the country, what is the point of sponsoring the H1B? So, as per this administration interpretation, so it's not safe for any person to stay outside the country for more than 30 days or 15 days, because you definitely will be pulled for the secondary inspection at the port of entry if you stayed for more than 30 days and how your parole was run. So be careful on that.
Okay. Will there be an impact to the master's students or to those who are already on OPT and who are looking for jobs? Can they obtain an H1B?
I mean, if you are on OPT right now, this should not impact. But again, in future, if they say that, for the future H1Bs, they are subjected to this, 100K fee, then of course it all depends upon whether your employer is willing to pay that 100K fee.
Will it impact someone who is on OPT and employed and traveled to India last week and returning this November? Does this affect F1 visa holders?
As long as you are coming on F1 visa and then you are having the underlying employment, if you are working on the OPT, I think that should not affect. This is strictly for the H1Bs, not F1s, those who are under OPT or STEM OPT.
Okay. May I apply for perm now in this situation? My visa is valid till 2028 January.
Yes, of course. If the employer is having the job opportunity, if he is willing to file, yes, of course.
Okay, I think this question is already asked. We booked a cruise to Bahamas long back, and tomorrow is the travel. Is it safe to travel?
I wouldn't really recommend to travel at this point of time.
Okay. Can I H4? Okay. Okay. Moving on to this question. All new H1 will be impacted for 2026 if any employer applies H1 in US needs to pay 100K.
I mean, as I said, this is clearly saying those who are outside, but again, further clarification is still needed. So, we'll wait and see. I guess the administration is going to at least, do a further clarification on, deleting and adding some language into it, whether, how it will be applicable, for the new H1Bs. But the language currently says it's, those who are outside.
Okay. Does this rule apply for quota exempt H1 such as non-profit H1?
Yeah, it says H1Bs. It doesn't clearly say, I mean, Of course, when it is a H1B, doesn't matter whether it is a for profit or non-profit, it is still H1B.
Will this impact Canadian citizens who are on H1B visa working inside US?
Though it is a Canadian citizen, if you unless and until you are working on TN, yes, if you are working on H1B, yes, this will impact you.
I understand that with I-140 approved and renewal, there is no impact. What if we need to travel to India and go for stamping?
Right now, unless there is a further clarification, don't travel if you are inside the United States.
Okay. Will there be an impact to H4 to H1 conversion?
H4 to H1 within the country, no.
Okay.
As per the current language.
I'm on H1B status. CBP had issued my I-94 until November 2025, but after a subsequent amendment, my new USCS I-797A shows validity until October 2027. How would it impact me as I was asked by CBP to leave and re-enter the US to update my I-94, as my family on H4 is joining me in 2 weeks in October 2025?
Yeah, if you extended when you are inside the country and you got a new I-94, I think you should be good. But again, I think consult with your immigration lawyer because I mean, most likely the for the shorter time frame your I-94 was issued might be based on your passport expiration.
What about travel on GCEAD and advanced payroll?
Or GC, I mean, EAD is not for travel, of course, I mean, advanced parole, yes, you can go in and out of the country.
Okay. I'm a medical resident on J1 visa, completing in June 2026, planning to get H1 from July 2026. I'm currently working on a job contract. How will that affect me?
Yeah, if it is within the country, it should not affect. But again, further clarification is needed, as I said. But if it is outside, it will be impacted.
Can we travel once the proclamation is put on hold?
Yeah, I mean, once the proclamation is challenged in the court, once the temporary restraining order is issued, I'm hopeful that, the TRO will be issued. So once that is there, then at least, it gives some time for the people, those who are outside the country, who went for vacation or emergency situations or for weddings, they will be able to travel back.
Okay. H1 is picked this year, currently in USA. H1 is still in regular process and waiting for USCS response. Do I need to apply for premium or will it be okay if it is still in regular?
It depends on, until what time frame you have your OPT. So if you have your OPT validity beyond the September 30th time frame, you still can work. But however, it all depends upon, your choice or employer choice, whether you want to upgrade it. So I definitely would encourage to go ahead and then, upgrade it to premium if you cannot work beyond the September 30th time frame.
I have my H1B stamping valid till 2027. I'm planning to travel to India in October for my wedding. My fiance is an American citizen. Will this impact me?
Yeah, I mean, if you are still on H1B, so I mean, don't travel unless further clarification comes in or if there is a TRO on that.
Okay. If we have visa stamping, can we visit India and come back? I think this has been answered. Commerce Secretary yesterday clearly mentioned that 100K is for all new and renewals. What is your interpretation on the statement?
I don't know whether it is issued just now, but I mean, we don't have a specific clarification. So when I'm giving or saying whether it is applicable or not applicable, I'm strictly sticking to the proclamation language. I'm not interpreting from the perspective of news channels or anything else because as a rule of I mean, to take it into consideration, we just have to go through the proclamation language, not, the Commerce Secretary or anybody else says, because that is not there in the proclamation language.
Okay. A stamping related question. Petition approved in USA and beneficiary traveled to India for stamping. Any impact?
Yeah, I mean, if they travel to India, if they are in India right now, yes, this might affect their, coming back.
Okay. If H1 holder is in USA and if only H4 holders are going for stamp in India, how does it work? Will there be any impact?
I think they should be safe to go for stamping, H4s especially, and then once it's successfully stamped, they can always come back.
Okay. Will this impact AOS, EAD, AP employees travel to as well?
No, the proclamation strictly says that certain non-immigrants and then especially for H1Bs, nothing related to adjustment of status and stuff like that.
Okay. I receive a new job offer and my employer wants to file a new petition. I'm in the US currently. Will this be impact?
Yeah, if you are within the US, that should not impact at all.
Proclamation saying effective for 1 year. Does that mean this is currently for 1 year only?
Yeah, for now it's 1 year, and then there is also language in the proclamation, especially it talks about, within the 30 days of the H1 lottery. So the Attorney General and then, DHS Secretary, Department of Labor Secretary must give inputs to the President whether, this can be extended further. So based on, after the lottery is done within the 30 days, based on the inputs, we will know whether this will continue or extended. But I think in a way before that, we will know whether this will withstand in the courts.
Okay. There are continuous questions about business travel. I know I'm sure you have answered it, but I think will there be an impact to the business travel when on H1?
Yeah, no matter, whether it is business or personal, it strictly says to the H1B. So I would say, though you have stamped visa in your passport, when this proclamation is, like issued and then in effect, don't travel if you are in the country.
Okay. I have an interview on 22nd at Mexico, and my H1B is effective from October 1st, but I will get my passport same day with H1B stamping since my H1B is not active. Can I re-enter on F1? Can I travel? Any suggestions?
Not really sure whether you could re-enter because if there is a change of status that happened. So, I think this is a more specific question. If your change of status already happened within the country and you are going for stamping in Mexico, yes, it will affect. I would highly recommend not to travel. So, and if you are within the country, just stay put. But if you are planning to travel, at least I would say postpone it for now.
Okay. We are group of people who travel who already have H1B visa and staying in Canada and traveling daily to work and go back. Does this proclamation affect us as we need to do immigration to enter into country by road?
I guess so, as long as there is further clarification is issued.
Okay. I'm on STEM OPT currently. I got my H1 approved last year in consular process. Can I apply amendment within the country and go for stamping? Will it be an issue?
You can definitely do a change of status within the country. As you already counted towards the cap, it will be an exempt. But again, going for stamping depends upon, how the outcome will be. I would say, you postpone for going for stamping right now.
Okay. Okay. This is a repetitive question. My husband is on H1 and planning to travel to India early next year, and he needs to go to visa stamping. He had visa stamped earlier, but it has expired. Will this 100K fee applicable?
For now, I think, as I said, lot of clarification needs to be issued. So yeah, if it is applicable, if you are going outside the country for stamping, as per today, how we read the proclamation, yes, it's going to affect. But if there are any changes, depends upon that. For now, I would say yes.
Okay. If a husband is on H1, wife with H4 and a kid is a US citizen, can they still travel and come back? I mean, the wife and kid can still travel and come back, or any
Yes.
issues?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wife and kids can still travel and come back. This is only for the H1Bs.
Okay. My H1 visa stamp is expired, but my I-797 approval is valid until 2028. I was supposed to travel to India next month for visa stamping. Now, with this proclamation, I cannot travel to India. Am I good to stay here with approved I-797?
Yeah, if it is I-797A, you should be able to, stay put and continue working. But I think if it is next month, you will have enough time to make that kind of decision.
Okay. On L2, planning to get H1 within the country, will the fee 100K fee be imposed?
Yeah, if it is within the country, I guess not. But again, we still need to have those questions answered from, the proclamation. But if we are, if I'm answering as is out of the proclamation, yeah, it might. Inside the country, it will not, but outside the country, yes.
Okay. Given that Republicans have majority in both House and Senate, what are the chances of converting it into law? Does President has powers to impose this rule without Congress approval?
See, President has some limits, but this whole H1B program is technically created by the Congress. So any alterations that are made to this program must be through the congressional intervention. But however, that's why I mean, President's team knows that that's why they are issuing through proclamations that hey, we are imposing this fee and that fee. Even for the fee changes, it has to go through the regulations and process. So beside that, this is not the actual fee. They are just collecting this fee to discourage the H1B program itself. But soon we will hear from the court, whether this will withstand or not.
Okay. Again, this is a repetitive question. Currently on STEM OPT and working full time, I'm planning to go to India in November. Will this affect when I'm returning back in December?
Yeah, I mean, for now, as we speak, I would definitely recommend, postpone your trips. Like, if it is in November, just keep as is. By then, you will have more updates.
Okay. This question is already asked. How does this proclamation impact the cruise trip to Bahamas? And the answer is no from Janetha Reddy. If we have visa stamping, can we visit to India and come back? I think this is asked as well. I'm just moving on. Outside of US, got visa interview in a week, H1B I-797 approved for the next 2 years. If I go interview, it will be declined based on current language if I don't furnish 100K receipt.
Yeah, based on the current language, I guess, I mean, looks like you will be subjected to, but again, unless we have the clear clarification. So I would, if you already have in the next couple of days, so, it's better to go ahead and then, I mean, to see, what the reaction would be or what the officer will say at the consulate.
Okay. If on green card and it is expiring soon and citizenship application is in process, is it safe to travel internationally under these new conditions, especially considering the current uncertainty?
Yeah, green cards absolutely are safe to travel right now, even including advanced paroles also. This is only for the H1Bs.
As per Bloomberg, it says it will be applied for all new H1Bs. How legit is it?
Yeah, that's what, I mean, a lot of news outlets are getting confirmation. They are also quoting, one of the person in the administration, Fox News is, giving out that information. But I'm not sure because, I don't have any legitimacy to, I mean, confirm those. So I'm strictly, giving the responses based on the current language of the proclamation because it strictly says to those who are outside the country. Of course it also says new, but again when they say new, whether it will be applicable those who are outside. So for now who are outside, it's applicable unless further clarification is issued from the administration.
Okay. Any impact to the H1 transfers within the country?
No.
Okay. My H1 visa stamp is expired, but I think this is already done. Will it impact H4 to H1 transfers approved last year, but in India now for stamping? Also, can I enter on my old H4 stamp visa as my H1 stamping is scheduled in October end?
Yeah, I mean, if you are planning to come back into the country on H4, yes, absolutely. That is a wise decision instead of going for stamping and getting stuck there.
Okay. Any impact to the medical professional on J1 to H1 from July 2026 inside the US?
Right now, I think whoever are within the country, they are exempt. So we will know more based on how they clarify, how they come back, and what the court has to say. So I would say by end of next week, we will have even more updates. Of course, litigation does take time. Hopefully, somebody will be able to get a temporary restraining order based on the companies that are filing the lawsuit.
Okay. If already person is in India for H1 stamping, which is scheduled for October 3rd, he can't come to USA now as his change of status done earlier from F1 to H1B came from stamping. What step do the person need to follow? Can go for stamping now as per the schedule or should wait?
For now, I think you have to still keep your schedule, and by the time the day you go for stamping, you will even learn more changes to this proclamation.
Okay. In this proclamation, is about having 100K salary per year per person or 100K fee per year for each filing?
100K fee paying to the government per application per year beside the wages.
Currently graduating with PhD and will start my job from December 15th on OPT. Will this proclamation affect current situation?
If you are on PhD and then working and doing a change of status within the country, I think this should not affect in any way who are inside.
Okay. One of my
But
known
if we
family
look
board.
into and interpret it, I mean, if people are coming from outside, having visa stampings, and if these fees, if they are subjected to this fee, and people inside the country are not subjected to fee, it's unfair. So I think, definitely they are going to issue a clarification on this.
Okay. One of my known family boarded flight yesterday to India, but got down in last minute. They cancelled ticket later. Will CBP records show that they left US?
If they cancelled, and then if they are still in the US soil, that will not technically affect them in any way, right?
Okay. My son is having H4 and turning to 14 years this December. Next summer, planning travel to India. He needs to interview or only biometric?
I think he will do both biometrics and interview.
Okay. Okay, just moving on. Will this be challenged in courts?
Yes.
Okay. If I change employer now in USA, will it impact me? Does new employer have to pay 100K?
Yeah, I mean, change of status, as we said, I think for now, as we read the language, change of status, H1-B extensions, amendments will not be affected, which are done within the country.
Can it affect concurrent visa?
Concurrent visa, no.
Okay. Yesterday in front of press, they said per year and per person. It is not true, right? This is only for who entering USA, should not impact the one that are in country waiting for the renewals.
Will not impact those who are inside the country. This is for those who are outside. As I said, per applicant per year, 100K, and this is beside their wages.
Okay. My visa expired last year. Employer changed. Planning to go this year. My new petition is valid till 2027 September. Sorry, 2027 February. Will it affect me?
I would say don't travel till you have further updates how this proclamation goes in implementation.
Okay. Okay, a lot of questions about the stamping having in next few days and coming back with is it possible? And also people asking about the Bahamas cruise trip, which is already answered. And there is no, of course, questions about H4s as well, which is also answered that there is no impact to the H4s at the moment. And I'm looking for a different question.
Yeah, strictly, I mean, especially those who are already outside, yes, they have to make that kind of decision. But those who are inside the country, have plans to travel, for now, you have the ability to postpone them till you have a better clarification, how this, proclamation will be implemented. So, if you are planning to travel in the next week or two, postpone it. But if you are planning to travel in November and December, by then we will have a great deal of information, and then how the implementation will be done. So you can still keep your dates open, but don't travel. So until further clarification is issued.
Okay.
Uh,
Will this
Sorry, Priyanka, is Manmohan here. So just a little, we have another 15 minutes left. So try to cover as much as we can. And then we can close the session at like 4:30. And this session is recorded, and we're going to share that on YouTube and all the social media platforms. And if you have anyone have a similar questions, they can go back and review the our YouTube channel, this video, to get the clarifications. And if still have any other questions apart after reviewing the video, right, they can still reach out to the Janetha Kancharla garu for further questions or further suggestions. Okay. Yeah.
Manmohan, would you mind like sharing where do they have to, because there are a lot of questions people are asking for recordings, I know, and I'm sure we'll be posting it, but would you mind like sharing the details that where it will be posted and where they can go back and
that's going to be
yeah.
get posted on our YouTube channel. It's called as Global Telangana Association. But yeah, I'm going to share that, put that link in in the chart here so that everyone can have the details.
And also, would you mind sharing Janetha Garu's email and other things as well? Because there are questions about reaching out to Janetha Garu as well.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, sure.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks, Priyanka.
So yeah, moving on to the questions. So what about teachers on J1? Will there be any impact?
Yeah, if they are inside the country, and then hopefully they should not get affected by this. But as I said, lot of language and whatever. If we are taking the proclamation language as is, there's a lot of confusion. They are saying new, they are using the word new. They are also using the word those who are outside. So how it will be affected, when they say new, whether it will be for the upcoming, March 2026 time frame, or when they say, those who are outside, whether those, who already have the stampings are exempted, that clarification still needs to be. I think, when they technically challenge this in the court, maybe they will be seeking all these answers in the court.
Okay. How about if someone comes for here on H4 and converts to H1? Any impact to them?
I think H4, if they come on H4 and if they are changing the status to H1-B, they should be good. But as I just said earlier in the call, the Department of State Secretary will issue something where if people already have, H1-B approvals, and then, if they have B2 visa stampings in their passport, and if they are trying to come into the country now and change their status later on to H1-B, I think, though they will not be allowed into the country technically, because they don't, if they are like, following the shortcut to, escape the, 100K fee, I think those will be targeted as well at the port of entry, maybe pulled out for the secondary inspection, and they might even get denied entry into the United States as per the proclamation, because the language is very clear there.
Okay. Do you think there will be any movement with the green card, process by stopping this current H1B?
I don't think so. By stopping the current H1B, there is a forward movement impact. But however, if you see the October bulletin, EB1 has had a forward movement of, 1 year, and then EB2 almost 10 months, and EB3 14 months forward.
Why this proclamation only on H1s? We paid our taxes, been following all the USCIS rules and regulations. I have a travel plan on 22nd back to USA and stamped recently. I was been in India due to my dad's health emergency situation. Please suggest on this.
That's a good question. I know. I mean, everybody see, H1Bs definitely, contribute to the economy by staying here legally, paying taxes, further once they get the green card, they are definitely going to, do the job creation, and the companies that are here inside the United States, technically, it's they're creating these jobs, and then in turn creating the wealth for the United States. But however, I think this particular administration is kind of a bit serious on how the program H1B program is abused, especially by the employers, where they are hiring the employees for lower wages, and then firing the American employers. That's why in collecting in a collective effort with the Department of Labor, when the proclamation is issued yesterday, they also issued the Department of Labor also issued the project firewall, where they will be investigating the companies based on the compliances, and then whether the wages are being paid to the employees. All these things will take effect. But however, for your specific question, why we don't have an answer, but yes, as a legal immigrant, inside the country, yes, of course, you are paying taxes, but looks like the government is, picturing, in a bigger picture, they want to target, those who are abusing the program specifically.
Okay. Any info on visas getting 221G happenings from yesterday?
It's too early to know. No information on that. Maybe because The effectiveness of the program itself will go from tomorrow. So based on the visa interviews that are being happening, how the people will report, and then even people who are trying to enter, based on their report, we will know more by mid to end of the next week.
Okay. Can I enter with B2 and move to H1B with approved petition after few days?
That's what I just mentioned. No, I think you might be pulled for the secondary inspection. They will cancel your B2 and then send you back. So don't do that.
Okay. I'm currently in France for a 1-year assignment and will be completing it in the first week of October. During this time, I have successfully completed my H1B visa stamping. Could you please advise whether the completion of my assignment and return to the US will have any impact?
I mean, it doesn't specifically say those who are on, outside the country assignments and all. It just said outside. It doesn't give any more details, whether it is the new or already having the stamping. So, as I said earlier, if we are reading the proclamation as is right now, as it is issued, yes, whoever are entering into the country will be affected.
Okay. Will this impact Schedule A employees like therapists?
If they are falling under the H1B, yes, because this is specifically targeting H1B, yes.
Okay.
Unless and until they fall under the national interest exemption.
Okay. Does this rule apply for existing H1B holders on vacation in India? I'm currently in India on H1 and have I-140 and written on October 10th. Should I return early this week or wait till clarity?
I mean, that's your personal choice whether you want to wait. But however, if you start now in India, also, I mean, you won't be able to make it by the time the proclamation goes into effect. Maybe it's a good idea to, wait and see to have more clarification on that, or take a risk and enter into the country to see what happens. Again, as I said, it's a personal choice what you really want to do.
Okay, this is already asked for the medical residency. So what about H1B visa for medical residency? If you know something about this, please explain.
Yeah, same thing, I mean, this proclamation doesn't really classify, whether it is under medical or, therapist or, anything. It just wholly says, H1B. So, I would say whether it is profit or non-profit, it's equally applicable to all the H1Bs.
Okay, is asking for a clarification on fee for H1 and whom it applies to if already covered.
This particular 100K fee will be paid by the employer to the government per year, beside the wages, as I mentioned.
Okay. My H1 petition is still pending approval, and meanwhile, my spouse and child are in India on H4. If my H1B is approved after September 21st, will the 100K fee apply when they try to re enter the US with me? Should I plan for them to stay in India until we have clarity?
If they are appearing for H4 visa, I think it shouldn't really impact them. This is only for the H1Bs.
Okay. I filed my H1B this 2025 February and it's in process. And am I impacted in this new rule? Please help me.
Yeah, if you are within the country, no. If you are outside, yes.
Okay. Any chances for the H1 extension denials due to this?
Not due to this, but again, I mean, each H1B filing will be adjudicated based on those credentials that are submitted by the attorney.
Okay. If someone is in Canada and having stamped H1B from employer company 1 and having I-797 approved from company 2, is this rule applicable if individual is coming back from land border on 30th?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in Canada, I think you should have a pretty good chance to enter before the proclamation goes into effect. If you have a new H1B from employer B, having a valid, petition approval, and then if you have a already existing stamping in your passport, the H1B, so you technically should be able to enter.
Okay. Before my visa expired on my passport, I went to Mexico and re-entered US, and CBP officer extended my I-94 till May 2027. Though I have 797B, am I good to stay in US and continue to work till 2027 May?
If your I-94 states that you have validity till 2027, yes, you should be able to. So, and also, just check with your corporation attorney why the H1-B was issued, or the 797B was issued. So whether it is because of the passport validity, so you check with them. But if your current I-94 states that you are good to stay, because I-94 technically shows that the last day you entered on what status, and then the validity when your I-94 is expiring. So if your I-94 states it's expiring and you are on H1-B till 2027, I think you should be good to stay.
What are the possible outcomes from the appealing of proclamation in court, and how long it might take for a decision? Till the decision time, will the proclamation rules apply?
We don't know how long it will take, but pretty much, litigation, does technically take time. But maybe they might ask for a temporary restraining order, which goes effect pretty soon, I guess. But again, it all depends upon both sides of the arguments, which court, which judge is looking into it. So, I cannot predict that. But again, most likely most of us are very positive on a TRO will be issued. It will be such a good relief for a lot of people.
Okay. Can two companies support H1 simultaneously to support 20 hours each per week? If yes, would both need to comply the 100K rule?
Not 20 hour, one H1-B should be full time, and then other can be concurrent part time, which may be up to 30 hours. So, you have to make sure how many hours. But again, yes, no matter whether it is a part time, full time, H1-B, yes, the rule, the proclamation does say only H1-B. It doesn't clarify further whether it is a concurrent H1-B or a part time H1-B. So,
Okay. And there are like multiple questions about the students as well. Will there be an impact for the lotteries and who has been applying, who are planning to apply for H1s next year? So any suggestions for them as well?
I think we will receive more further clarification for the upcoming season, the H1Bs, I guess. But again, once the lottery is done, the proclamation clearly says based on the inputs within the 30 days, the inputs by Attorney General and then, Secretary of State, Secretary of DHS, Labor, I think they will decide whether to extend. But I think by then we will have, a good clarity and from a court where, whether this will stay put, the proclamation will stay put or not.
Okay. And there are a lot of other questions about this traveling in the cruise to Bahamas or kind of Caribbean or to other places. I think the answer is no for now.
Yeah,
And I
answer
think
is
this has
no
been
for
already
now. So,
answered.
wait
Yeah.
till, maybe another 2-3 weeks to get, a clarification on that.
Okay. So, and few people are asking about the gold card. So, is this still in place? And any suggestions on to people about the gold card?
Yeah, gold card, platinum card, a lot going on. So, till it gets implemented. So, we just have to wait and see, but again, for the investment purposes, we already have the EB5 program, which is up to, 801.3 million. So, that's the program, has been there for a very long time. So maybe this new administration brings in, certain things, still it has to, lay their ground strong to have these programs up and running.
Okay. My husband is in India coming back on, oh, sorry. I'm currently in India on H1 and approve I-140. Sorry, I approve 140. My return is in October 10th. Should I return immediately or wait till restraining order? If I get rejected on the port of entry, will it impact my future travels?
You have two chances, you can take the risk to travel now, but again, if you start in India now, I don't think you will be able to travel before the proclamation goes into effect. But however, if you are sent back, if there is a TRO, then you will be able to again come back unless and until they cancel your visa at the port of entry. Keep that in mind.
Okay. So any progress on the green card, like, instead of giving the gold and platinum cards, do you think like, they can just do the green cards for those who have been in US for 15 years and above?
They are not doing anything based on how many years you are staying here. So strictly goes by per country quota limitations. So, But if you look into the October visa bulletin, there is a forward movement. In EB1, there is 1 year. EB2, it's a 10-month forward movement, and EB3, it moved 14 months. So, as this start of the fiscal year for the USCIS, and the visa bulletin states so. Hopefully, we'll remain hopeful that the dates will move forward. But again, more visa numbers will be available based on if there are any further bans on certain countries. I think the huge movement that you also see right now might be based on those numbers that are recapped and put into the employment based.
Okay, and there's another question, which is again similar one, which you have been talking for last 1 hour. H1 filed and other processing, and after approval, transfer to another employer, does it cost 100K?
Yeah, if you are within the country, no.
Okay. And I think people, to those who has just joined, they need some clarification to the students and H4s and, traveling on the, even on H1Bs, valid H1Bs. And there are a lot of questions for people who wants to travel to India. I think maybe without asking, reading all these questions, I think you just can you please quickly go on all these 3 questions at once, please?
Yeah, I mean, especially those who are outside the country right now, specifically when I say outside, if they are in Canada, they still will be able to come back before the proclamation goes into effect. But again, if you are out, in India, then again, if you start now, I don't think you will be able to make during that time frame. So you will be coming after the proclamation goes into effect. It is your personal choice, whether you want to take that risk coming back into the country and then, be denied the port of entry, you going back, and then maybe later on and the temporary restraining order is issued and then coming back. But I would advise in this scenario, make sure that you keep an eye on, that's a risk. If at the port of entry, the CBP officer cancels your H1B visa in your passport for some reason, you will end up going to visa. So that's a tricky part on that one. Those who are inside the United States and planning travels, plan carefully after you have a clear decision on. But till then, I think staying inside the United States is advisable.
Okay, I think it's 4:30. We can probably conclude this session. I know there are a lot of valid questions that have, on the current situation. And thank you so much, Janetha Garu, for your time and explaining us, I know it's very hard for everybody who is on H1s and wanted and, are planning to travel next month and in next few weeks. And most of your questions have been answered. If you still have any questions, I've also shared Janetha Garu's email address and of course the current recording session as well. And probably, we can conclude this session for now.
Yeah, thank you, Priyanka. You always make the call very smooth and then, effortless. So thank you very much for your time during the weekend. And special thanks to GTA, their board, and, the whole team for organizing this webinar. Thank you for the opportunity.
And there is one more session, one more request from everybody that, once you have some standard information about this, probably a week or so, if you have any standard information, they wanted another session as well. A lot of people have requested for another session. And definitely from GTA side, if we have any information and, if people are, I'm sure we got an immense response this time and, a lot of questions, good questions asked, and we have got of good, good answers here. If you need another session, definitely GTA will, plan for another one once we have a concrete information in the future. We'll do that. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you all who joined as well.
Thank you.